Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand says Canada is, quote, urgently seeking more information after a Canadian citizen died in ICE custody. Now, ICE says 49-year-old Johnny Noviello died June 23rd after being found unresponsive in a detention center in Florida. Convicted of racketeering and drug trafficking charges in 2023, Noviello was arrested by ICE in May while out on probation. This case is raising questions over the safety of Canadians who are currently in ICE detention. So for more on those concerns, we're joined this morning by Dan Berger, immigration lawyer at Green & Spiegel. Good morning.
Good morning.
To our knowledge, Noviello is the first Canadian to die in ICE custody this year. ICE data shows us that 9 people in total have died while in custody. This is under Trump's second administration in this current roundup of ICE. So what do we know about the circumstances of these deaths?
So I think what we're trying to figure out is what kind of oversight there is of some of these detention centers. The number of people detained has grown tremendously this year, and in the detention centers, 2 of the safeguards that were used before, which was the Department of Homeland Security Civil Rights and Civil Liberties Division, and also the detention ombudsperson, have been cut back dramatically. So we really don't have a lot of data and a lot of information about what's been happening.
A spokesperson for Global Affairs Canada told CTV Your Morning, that's this program, that approximately 55 Canadians are right now in immigration-related detention south of the border. So what are conditions like in ICE detention facilities?
Well, they really vary quite a bit. There are different kinds of facilities being used because of the number of people being arrested. And part of that is to meet quotas of ICE quotas for arrests. So we have local jails that are being contracted. Those tend to run based on their own local standards. We have federal ICE-run facilities, and then we also have private prisons which are being used and also built. So the conditions in these facilities really vary tremendously.
You've talked about the arrest quota ICE agents have from the Trump administration. In May, ICE was directed to detain at least 3,000 people a day. So they were given a quota to reach. How does that factor into what we're seeing?
Well, I think it factors into the fact that when you have tremendous growth, it's hard to keep up safeguards. You know, I look back in getting ready for this interview, and 20 years ago, I had written an article about the growth of detainees. In 1983, there were 4,000. In 2004, there were 23,000. Budgets now are for 36,000, but with 3,000 people a day, as you can imagine, being, if they meet that target of 3,000 people a day being arrested, the growth of the detained population is tremendous, and it's hard to keep up with oversight and standards there.
You know, I find interesting, and something that's a different move, is social media accounts for ICE, like on Instagram, for example. And if you want to peruse it, you can, but they do daily postings of people who've been arrested. They run highlight reels to fast-paced pop music. It is a really different feel of immigration enforcement in the United States, at least from where we're watching here in Canada. You have practiced immigration law for decades. So what concerns are you hearing when people are starting to reach out to you, and how does it differ than what we were seeing previous to this administration?
Well, I think what you're seeing are 3 things together. One are these arrest quotas. The second is the end of what was called the priorities memo, which really means that in previous administrations, there were priorities for enforcement. It tended to be people with serious criminal records rather than just meeting quotas by finding anybody that they can of any age. And the third thing is extreme vetting, which means more questions are being asked of everybody everywhere. And when you put all those things together, I find it harder as an immigration lawyer to really tell anybody that they are completely safe from detention, and that's hard. Now, 2 things can be true at the same time. There are over 4,000 crossings a day over the U.S.-Canadian border. Mm-hmm. The vast majority of people are doing fine, but a small number of people are being detained, and this is having a huge chilling effect on people coming from all over the world to the U.S.
You know, you talked about quotas and this mass numbers of people being scooped up, and less attention and less vigilance being taken to places like sanctuary cities and and things that are typically protections. On Tuesday, we saw your President Trump touring a massive new immigration detention center. It's being known as Alligator Alcatraz in Florida. The ACLU of Florida called the visit, quote, part of a broader strategy to expand the abusive mass detention machine. What are your concerns with facilities like this? And if people haven't seen it, we'll show you some pictures, but it's basically chain link rooms with bunks inside.
Yeah, I think there are really two things there. One, again, is the oversight that I mentioned earlier. I think there is no organized oversight for these facilities to make sure they meet detention standards. And second is that they are intended for temporary stays, usually 24, 48 hours. And because of the backlogs, because of the number of people who are being detained, people are there much longer. And that raises a variety of questions.
Dan Berger, immigration lawyer at Green and Spiegel. Great to have you in this conversation today. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.